You're listening to the Songs of Inspiration podcast, bringing you local interviews and performances by singer-songwriters with the goal to give space to the music community and share local artists' messages and stories with the world. I'm your host, Lars Wickland. Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode of the Songs of Inspiration podcast. I'm here with Jake Goldstein. Thanks for joining us today, Jake.
Thanks so much for having me, Lars. Much appreciated.
Me and Jake just played actually a songwriters round, so it was really cool to hear some of his music ahead of interviewing him. So really excited to share this podcast with everyone and have him share some songs in a little bit. But to kick us off, can you tell us a little bit about how you got started with music and songwriting?
Yeah. So starting off with music, it kind of started a good 25 years ago or so. I was a 9-10-year-old kid playing trumpet in the band and played through high school, played through college. Post-college, I picked up the guitar, started to learn some songs, some chords. It wasn't until about 2019 or so, about a half a dozen years after playing guitar, that I had wanted to learn how to write music. So I've only been really writing for about 6 or so years or so. And I have an album coming out later this fall in October, and also just about enough material for a second album.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And as you got started with music, did you have any major influences that got you into songwriting?
More songwriting specific, yeah. More Bob Dylan. So I actually wrote my very first song sort of in the style of Bob Dylan. So really the sort of the early Dylan songs, anything from like the freewheeling Bob Dylan album to about Nashville Skyline is kind of like my type of Bob Dylan music that I enjoy the most, that sort of early folk kind of sound. So Dylan has been a big inspiration for sure. Over the past 2 years, I've dived into into John Prine, into his songwriting. So a lot of some other songs that I have been writing more frequently, more recently, have been in more of the style of John Prine. So I really kind of like that folky country kind of flavor that they both offer.
Very cool. Yeah, lots of great songs by Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Have you seen the movie that they made about him recently?
Yeah, about 6 months ago. Yeah, it was great. It was great. I think Timothée Chalamet should have gotten the Oscar.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He did an amazing job in that.
Yeah. It was great. It was a great movie. Yeah. I would highly recommend it for anyone who hasn't seen it yet.
Same here. Yeah. Did you have any mentors as you got started with music that kind of helped you out, got you into songwriting or influenced your songwriting or anything?
I mean, I had a whole music community. I'm going to shout out the Worcester music community. The Worcester has a great singer-songwriters kind of community that is happening out there, and no, I wouldn't say anyone specific. However, I think it's the community itself, just because everyone is so collaborative, so everyone is so inviting, everyone is so inclusive in different songwriting get-togethers, as well as different songwriters in general, that they really certainly would like for you to write more music and to be able to have the way to write different songs. I can tell you that there's a once a month kind of gathering at Hotel Vernon in Worcester, where it's a songwriters open mic. It's 2 songs each, and there's a feature performer as well, which is fantastic, and it really kind of draws a lot of folks from all parts of everywhere. We've had people from Boston. I used to live in Northampton. Some other people from central Massachusetts might come. So you get a variety of different songwriters, different flavors, different kind of different types of songs. So I think it's the community in Worcester that really kind of encourages you to write songs.
Yeah, I think I've seen the advertisements for that open mic. I want to check that out at some point.
Yeah, so it's if you're interested in finding where it is or what it is, it's under WASA, which is an acronym for Worcester Acoustic Singer-Songwriters Association, or ACS or something like that. Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, it's WASA, once a month on Wednesday at Hotel Vernon in Worcester.
Who hosts that?
There's a gentleman by the name of Pete Lesperance. He's huge into the Worcester music scene, has a band called Big Lead Collective. He's a songwriter himself. He hosts those open mics. And I've met so many great people through just that little songwriting community. And it's grown to be such a great songwriting community. I think it's only about 2, maybe 3 years old. So it's really great. It's a really wonderful kind of spot. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, those communities are so important to just like getting embedded in it and getting to know people, and then also building your craft and stuff as a songwriter. So it's really cool that you're doing that and stuff. I think it's important to get out there and do those things.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's great when you can find a community that you can be a part of, and I think a Worcester music scene is a great community to be a part of for sure.
What do you think are 3 elements to a good song that every good song has?
Boy, I think a good chorus, something you can sing along to, something that it's easy to sing to. I think potentially a really interesting bridge. I think maybe the last bit part might be like really easy chord progression. So it's like if we're gonna, if I'm gonna teach you one of my songs, Lars, then I'm gonna show you it's only 3 chords, and then maybe kind of something a little bit different in the bridge, but it's only 3 chords. So it's kind of the type of song where you can sort of easily teach it to someone else.
Yeah.
And I think a great artist who, as a songwriter, who does these kinds of things, who kind of ticks all these different boxes, is Tom Petty. He writes really simple, easy songs, maybe 3, 4 chords. He's got a great chorus, and his bridges aren't too difficult. I mean, they're interesting for sure, and they don't take up too much space within the song. However, they are very easy songs. They've got great hooks, and I think he's a really interesting songwriter that is simple yet effective.
That's great. Yeah, Tom Petty is awesome, and yeah, it's really good to keep it simple, and then like it's also cool what you can do with a vocal melody around like a simple chord progression and stuff, because I think that's always super interesting when it's like one chord progression through the whole thing, or like small changes, like being able to see what different things you can do with like the vocal harmony or the vocal melody and harmonies and stuff throughout it and stuff is really interesting.
Right. Whereas I think on the opposite end, this is kind of a side note that like, if you really want to get kind of wacky with your songwriting and or bridges, but I would say that the Beatles, especially around the Sgt. Pepper Magical Mystery Tour era, can kind of go far astray from what we're talking about. Because they offer something so different. They, often will kind of interchange different chord progressions that don't belong in specific keys, which, again, I think is a really interesting approach as an artist, because, you might want to fit into a box or stay within a particular key, stay within a particular range. However, the Beatles happen to not do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all kind of part of the like journey of songwriting too. I feel like as you go, you kind of find these different like avenues you can go down with songs, and like you eventually have songs that do different things in different ways. And I feel like for the Beatles, they did like a lot of the more like cookie cutter type songs for a long time, and then it really evolved into these really intricate, cool songs like what you were describing, and it's really cool to see the evolution of that stuff over time too and stuff.
Yeah, and I also like inspired to write something along the lines of like something out of Sgt. Pepper and or Magical Mystery Tour, or kind of like the early beginnings of Electric Light Orchestra, because I know Electric Light Orchestra have been quoted to say that they were inspired by that sort of era of the Beatles music. So, maybe, play a good couple of chords that don't fit in within the key, or maybe you're, I don't know, try messing around with different kinds of sounds and trying to bring that back into your song. I've got a good couple of songs that I would say are in the same vein as like a Eleanor Rigby or like a Yesterday kind of vibe, but I also have songs that just use 3 chords.
Yeah.
Or 4 chords, something simple, something effective, something easy.
It's always kind of what's best for the song too and stuff. I think like staying in that creative mode as you go through and stuff. We were talking about this with the last artist, like being able to kind of tinker with it and figure out different avenues you could take it and what's the best for the song and stuff is always interesting as you're going through the process and stuff too.
Yeah, but also just like I've always been a singer-songwriter on guitar, so I've never really until more recently have heard, like, oh, well, maybe consider this kind of arrangement. Maybe this, consider, having drums here or bass here, or, maybe they don't all come in at the same time. Maybe the drums kind of do a splash towards the chorus part or something, or maybe have the bass kind of creep in so that not everything's playing out at the same time, which is great because it's sort of, I have had some arrangement thoughts here and there. I know that I wanted some cello on a couple of songs here and there, which was great because with my record that is coming out, I was able to get a hold of a cellist and just be like, hey, I know nothing about cello, but the sound that I'm looking for is more Eleanor Rigby. And I just kind of let them run with it.
That's
You know what I mean? So I think also like when you're crafting a song, I think there are moments in time in which you should consider the arrangement.
Oh yeah.
Not necessarily just maybe singer-songwriter. Maybe that might be the case. Maybe, maybe it's just a one-man kind of guitar acoustic solo kind of thing, or it could have more voices, it could have more life, it could have more depth, it could have more volume, it could have a little bit of everything.
That's always an interesting process to go through too, because I know you're recording a record right now, and being able to bring life into songs you've played acoustic for so long is such a cool thing to like experience and stuff. I've been doing similar with the record I'm working on, and figuring out the arrangement and stuff is really interesting and kind of gives you a new perspective sometimes on how things could go and stuff.
Yeah. So when is your record dropping?
It's been slowly releasing. I have 2 songs out on Spotify right now. And I'm going to be releasing more kind of waterfall release throughout the rest of the year and stuff. So probably end of the year it will be fully out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great. Are you going to do an album release?
Yeah, I'm hoping to.
Whereabouts?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Still planning that part.
Yeah. I mean, that's the tough thing, just because like, I think I started like a year and a half ago because I know like people just generally get really busy, especially with gigs. And I reached out to like different players and I was like, hey, I'm forming a band. Would you be able to play drums or bass, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would it be cool? I also have a good couple of folks opening my show. So, I wanted to reach out to them and just make sure, and then to reach out to a venue. And then, now it's, I've got like 2 months until my record comes out. So it's kind of like go time right now.
Yeah.
In that, like, get the band together, start practicing, start tightening up, start getting ready. Yeah. And then my producer and I we're like 95% done. My producer just moved to New York, who happens to be a mutual friend of ours.
Yes.
So I know he's kind of like still transitioning to his new living area in New York, but still knows that we need to get the record out as soon as possible.
Definitely. Yeah.
So,
Shout out to Nate Christie.
Nate Christie.
Awesome producer.
Yeah.
And friend of mine, I worked with him in the studio when he had a studio over in Brighton and stuff for a long time, and have collaborated with him every so often and stuff. Yeah, he connected me and Jake for this podcast.
Yeah. I was looking to kind of get more involved in the Boston area, and then Nate was like, well, hey, I got a buddy of mine who kind of lives out there, and maybe, could get together. I was like, sure, I'm always down to meet new musicians. It's always fun to do that.
Absolutely. So when you first started, like, the record, did you go through, like, a pre-production phase with Nate? Like, did you go through, like, recording some demos and figuring out, like, the arrangement on each song, or did you take it kind of track by track?
A little bit of both. So I remember, like, when we first recorded, when we first started, it was, like, demos, and then once we kind of had some life to a couple of these demos, then it would go back and kind of go track by track.
Yeah.
And so this is my first time kind of diving into this whole thing. I thought that maybe I could just kind of play my songs. It would take a day, just to record a song, and it would be more in the style of like freewheeling Bob Dylan, where it would just be my voice, my guitar, and that's it. I didn't want anything, it would just be a one-man band kind of show. And Nate said, no, that's not how recording works. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And here we are, like, a year and a half later, we're just kind of sprinkling the final touches on it. So, it's a big process. Know that it will probably take a year and a half to 2 years to record, to track, but also shout out to Nate because like he kind of like allowed me to think about what other sort of arrangements I want with my song, how I can kind of chop, splice, rearrange things, and just to kind of make my songs come to life.
Yeah,
which is great. But everything was started off as a demo, and then we kind of went back and gave it a good polish.
That's cool. Very cool.
So.
Yeah, Nate's really good at figuring out like what the song needs, or like getting you to think differently about a song sometimes. I know from just working on some pre-production stuff with him, he was kind of pointing out things that we could do, different avenues we could take with the song I was working with them on that I hadn't thought of and stuff, and really just good perspective to get and stuff. Having a producer and just a second set of ears on stuff is also like super helpful.
Yeah.
Because you can get lost in your own thoughts and stuff about a song.
Sure. And I only had like minimal kind of arrangement kinds of things. Like I knew I wanted cello, I knew I wanted violin. And so I had like certain people that I would reach out to and be like, hey, like, can you please learn this song and like come into the studio and we'll record and this, that, the other. But it was Nate who offered like, hey, let's use some drums. Let's like record some bass, and maybe let's throw in a piano, and let's, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, we should do that. Let's add all of those things in there, because it just, like I said, it gives it more shape. It gives it more life. It gives it more depth. It gives it more volume. It gives it more everything, and it just becomes more enjoyable to listen to every single time you go back to listen to it.
Absolutely.
Very
cool. When it comes to songwriting, do you have any creative routines that you do to help kind of keep like inspiration flowing?
Routines? No, I don't. Honestly, I don't. I mean, I can tell you that I just kind of pick up my guitar and I likely slap the capo on somewhere. I don't, capos 1 through, or frets 1 through 6, 7, something like that, and I'll just find a good couple of chord progressions to kind of run through. I think a lot of the time it is that I just play through a couple of chord progressions. I sort of think about a particular topic to talk about, and maybe some words will come, maybe some words won't. Maybe it's just trying to find what it is in the beginning, try to find some sort of foundation of some kind. Maybe I just play through a couple of chords that I like, and maybe I just kind of spit out random words, but that's kind of like the general process in which I go through to write songs. It's not any sort of particular routine. If I'm feeling inspired to write something, honestly, I that's sort of the process. But like I also I want to sort of go in songwriting thinking about something already.
Yeah.
You know, just like I don't want to just sit there and just be like, what am I gonna write about? I want to go in knowing like, okay, this next song is kind of going to be about like this topic or that topic or this topic. Yeah,
I think it's always interesting to kind of let stuff flow and kind of figure out like a place on the guitar and see what happens and kind of like let something evolve from there, have a general idea and stuff. And it's always interesting to just kind of go down that road and kind of see where you land and stuff. And sometimes it takes time to kind of flesh out an idea, but always an inspiring process. So,
Yeah. So, I know that I'm fairly close to kind of gathering enough songs for a second record, so hopefully I'll just finish the damn thing.
Yeah, you get to a point where it's like, all right, I need to be done with this.
Yeah, I mean, also just like recording the record, but also having like 10 brand new songs for a second record.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I've got like a half finished sort of song like in my back pocket. Like I know I need to finish that, and then I know I just need to write another one, and then I've got 10 songs ready to start to record all over again. But I also have another record I need to get out. So, I guess first things first, get the record out, start working on the second record more seriously, and then go from there.
Yeah. I've been having a thing happen recently where I've been recording for so long that I have new songs that I'm like, actually, maybe these songs should be on the record. And I'd have to start the whole process for those, though, and it will make the whole thing take longer, but it actually seems like they might be the right fit for it type of thing. So it's always an evolving process for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's the tough thing. Like, how do you like create your own track list? From your own songs. Like maybe you've got like, say, I don't know, 14 songs, right?
Yeah.
I'm just shooting numbers out. You've got 14 songs. Which of the 10 of the 14 will be on the album?
Yeah.
And what's the flow of it? You know what I mean? So like I've got all my songs like in a track listing, and I'll tell you the first song starts in G, the second song starts in an F sharp minor, but it's in the key of E technically, and then the third song is in F. So as you listen to it, yes, the first 3 songs are in different keys, but if you listen carefully, it sort of is going down chromatically because you start on a G on the first song, you start on an F sharp minor, even though it's E on the second song, the key of E on the second song, and then you go to F major on the third song.
Very cool.
So, that's always the tricky thing, and also like, is your record going to be like one of those like Sgt. Pepper albums? Is it more storytelling? Is it a concept album? Does it have, what's the flow of it? Where, does your songs have a certain message that you want to convey?
Yeah.
That you want to put in a particular order? There's a lot to consider.
And some of that stuff you figure out over time too. Like,
it
doesn't come naturally because I just started writing a lot of songs like about 2 years ago, and as the process evolves, you're like, oh wait, this should be what it is type of thing. And it's like, forget the stuff I was doing before. We're gonna go this direction type of thing, and it makes things take longer, but also like it's a process, like a creative process and stuff. I think the more you can get that fleshed out ahead of time, though, the easier it is. But
Yeah, and like, how do you arrange your fast songs? How do you arrange, or like, how do you, I guess, put in order your fast songs and or your slow songs? You know what I mean? Like, sometimes some people might have 2 slow songs. I don't want that. That's just me. That's just my personal preference.
Yeah.
But I'd rather just, have one song and then a bunch of fast songs, then a slow song, and then a bunch of other fast songs. So And also just like, how does the record end? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost, I think it's kind of like, in a way, like, no, okay, so you've got 10 songs. This is how you're going to start, but how is it that you're going to end?
Yeah.
You know, like the sort of the arch of the storytelling, the playing, the message of the story, the message of the album, and how is it going to end? What sort of notes, not pun intended, or chords, or the message, what is it going to be at the very end, where it seems like it's a natural sort of way to end your record.
Yeah.
You know?
The one thing I've played around with that is how I arrange my like originals when I do like gigs and stuff. If I'm doing a longer gig, I'll arrange it kind of like so it has an arc similar to an album, to kind of just test out like is this like a good order for things and stuff, and that's been helpful to do.
Yep.
When I've had the opportunity to do like a full set of like 7 or 8 songs and stuff. So
Yeah. I mean, I used to go off of set lists.
Yeah.
But I don't anymore.
Yeah.
I don't, honestly, I don't. I mean, when I'm in a gig, you know, I generally play 50s and 60s kind of jukebox music. You know, so my stage name is Jukebox Jake. And when I get hired to play 2 or 3 hours of music, sort of separate from original songwriting, then I'll, you know, play all sorts of different kinds of 50s and 60s songs in different keys. And I'll go from Johnny Cash to Little Richard to Buddy Holly to Jerry Lee Lewis to Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young to Fats Domino to Carl Perkins to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's lots of different kind of things that I do to kind of switch things up, so that it's, one, not in the same key, and 2, there's just a different sort of strumming pattern and or slightly different style from a different artist, you know? And I just kind of think on the fly. Most of the time I think on the fly when I'm in sort of a mid gig, like, okay, I've done this song, I'm going to think about another song that is in a different key, that's potentially a different style. I mean, I guess you could use, you know, set lists as sort of a foundation, as a web to make sure that you know, like, you kind of sort of mentally tick off each and every song.
Yeah.
But it's also depending on the crowd. You know, how does the crowd respond? You know what I mean? Maybe some songs will work, some songs won't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just how is it the crowd is receiving your music.
Yeah.
And maybe you sometimes need to change that up.
Yeah. That's really good advice, and like really good to pay attention to as well, like how the audience is responding to it, like can influence it.
Yeah. Are they responding more like with your country music versus your rockabilly stuff? Or are they responding more to your Cat Stevens versus your Grateful Dead? You know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? So there's a lot of different things to consider.
Yeah.
A lot of things. I mean, again, if you need some sort of set list to kind of know, like, okay, I haven't done this song, I haven't done, you know, kind of mentally keep you in check about, like, what songs to do versus what songs I have done already, then I'm sure that would be fine.
Yeah.
You know? But I never create a set list. I haven't in years.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as you evolve, you move away from that more and more. Because I think for the shorter shows, I've been kind of more freewheeling a little bit too.
Yeah.
Like for today, I was just like, these songs.
Yep.
But yeah, it's good to do both, I think, and play with what you're doing and stuff. So yeah.
I mean, even for today, you know, for this Revival Summer Songwriter Series, I literally had no idea what songs I was going to play until I got to the venue.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'll give these songs a try.
Yeah.
And all of them are off the first album.
Yeah.
So,
very cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Erin Bonney, who hosted that. She's actually going to be on the podcast next month, so that's cool. That was a great series to play over the summer and stuff. If anyone is watching this and gets a chance to check it out before the end of August, there's a couple more happening as well. What was the biggest challenge you've faced kind of as an artist as you got started and stuff?
That's a really good question. I think the biggest thing that was most challenging was that to sort of have an understanding of playing a song versus performing a song. And I think these two things can be very different. I think these two things can have a very different effect. For instance, when you first get started, sure, you're going to learn your favorite songs. You're going to learn a lot more songs from a lot of different artists, and you're going to have probably like a dozen or so songs that you're probably going to take to an open mic, and you're probably going to sing those songs. You're going to probably just play through those songs.
Yeah.
And that's a really great start. However, I think the biggest challenge was to take the songs I was playing and just kind of learn how to perform them. And when I perform them, okay, so what does that mean? It's a variety of different things, to be honest. It could be a different strumming pattern. It could be a different sort of timing. It could be a totally new way, sort of a reinventing the whole song itself. It could be maybe you sort of change some different parts of the song. You're not just kind of playing the song anymore. You're shaping it so that the people in the back are going to hear you.
Yeah.
And that took me a very long time to kind of understand, to get around to practice. I had to sort of practice performing to go from playing to performance.
Oh, yeah.
And it can be a really hard thing to do, to kind of know the difference and to practice said differences so that when then you do go out and perform, and as you're playing, you are, for the most part, keeping a steady, constant attention on you from people who are in whatever venue you're performing in.
Yeah, that's a really good insight on that, because I've also been, as I do more of this stuff, like starting to realize that difference as well, because you can play through things, but like really making, especially covers, finding ways to make it your own and kind of add your voice to it is really important, and definitely takes time to kind of learn how to craft that in the right way too and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, for instance, I'll take a song, some other songs that I have never sort of changed around at all. However, I have done it in such a way that it will get people's attention. For instance, like one of my favorite songs I love to play is Peggy Sue by Buddy Holly. And I've always played it exactly how it should be played, how most people will hear it through YouTube or through radio or for however you listen to Buddy Holly and or Peggy Sue. But I've approached it in such a way that will get people's attention. I'm still playing it the same, but I've done some things, slightly a little bit differently, to get everyone's attention on when I'm performing the song.
Can you tell us a story behind one of your songs and kind of how you wrote it?
Sure, yeah. Any particular song or just
your choice?
My choice. Okay, all right. So I think I'll go with the one that I tell the most. So I've got a song called Lost at Sea, and it's going to be on the record. This song came about, I think I wrote it in like 2022, somewhere around there. And it's the story behind this particular song happened a few years prior to 2022. It actually happened, it happened the year before. happened in 2021. During this time in 2021, as we all know, we were largely still in lockdown because of coronavirus. And at the time, I was living in Greenfield, Massachusetts. And I was friends with all of my neighbors in my apartment. My landlord lived next door, and I was all super close with my neighbors as well as my landlord, and we would hang out all the time. Also at this time, I was dating a girl from the Berkshires who I helped move to an apartment in Greenfield, and everything was going really well until I got COVID.
Oh.
This was in the later part of September of 2021. So I got COVID, and everyone just got so incredibly angry with me. All of my neighbors, my landlord, because I had an uncontrollable virus. And then I found out I was being cheated on.
Oh, wow.
From my relationship.
Wow.
So I left the apartment within a month. I broke up with my girlfriend at the time, and I moved to Northampton. And I just felt that everything I had built up within the past couple of years, a stable relationship, friendship with my neighbors, as well as my landlord, as well as the relationship I had with this girl, was just now gone.
Yeah.
And I found out the girl I was dating ended up hanging out with my landlord and all of my neighbors instead of staying with me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was a pretty tough moment in time, but I found solace in songwriting, and I continue to do that now. So that is what Lost at Sea is all about. You're kind of lost at sea.
Yeah. I'm sorry that happened, but yeah, that it is amazing what songwriting can do to get you through times like that where you're going through tough stuff like that.
Yeah.
To see it through,
and I think it's a therapeutic way.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a therapeutic kind of thing to do when you are you've got your mind full of thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people find their ways in which they help. Songwriting happens to be my avenue.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a long time ago, and you know, a much better spot going back to school, and I live in Central Mass now. Yeah, so things are better, a lot better.
That's great. Yeah, songwriting is a great outlet for that stuff, and yeah, it's always good to I use it as kind of a way to clear my head and stuff too as I go through different things and stuff. It's a good way to kind of release a lot of that stuff and whatnot. So.
Yeah. I think it's a really great way of just sure, it could be therapeutic. Sure, it can be a way in which you can kind of write out your expressions, but it's also a great way, and I'm going to say this, but to cryptically put your ex-girlfriend in a song. You know? Who hasn't done that, right? Michelle, Eleanor Rigby, Donna.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. It's just, a lot of people do that. A lot of artists,
oh yeah,
you know, write about breakups and girls and heartbreak and that kind of thing. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Of course, yeah.
Do you have any gigs coming up that you want to promote?
Yeah, so I'm playing at the Gardner Golf Course in Gardner, Mass. on Friday, August 29th from 6 to 9. And I've got a whole bunch of dates in September. But if you want to follow what I do, where I'm going next, because I play across the state of Massachusetts, from the Berkshires all the way to the Cape and everything in between, as well as different parts of New England. You can always go on Instagram and type in the Jukebox Jake. The Jukebox Jake.
Nice.
The Jukebox Jake. So yes, I do play 50s and 60s, but I also play a wide range of originals as well. And I'm just a little bit of everywhere. So, come follow me, come hang out, come see me in one of my shows. Let's be friends.
Very cool. Yeah, you're a busy guy. You get around. I remember you were saying you played in Rochester, New York.
Yeah, I played Rochester, New York a couple of months ago, or about a month ago, and it was a fantastic time. I was invited out. I'm going to plug some other people. So, there was a 50s night at this place called Marge's Lakeside Inn in Rochester, and it was like an afternoon of just fantastic 50s music by other bands more local to the Rochester area, such as The Sideburns and Beck and the Bobcats. These are all 50s artists that largely do like jukebox music, and I happened to just reach out to them because many months ago, besides July, I had another gig out in Rochester, so I linked up with them, and they're like, hey, come play at Marge's in the mid-July, and I said, sure. So I drove out to Rochester, had a fantastic show at Marge's Lakeside Inn with these guys, and it was a blast. It was a blast. So go follow The Sideburns as well as Beck and the Bobcats.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What's one piece of advice you'd give to singer-songwriters just starting out?
Go everywhere. Literally go everywhere. Go where the music is. Wherever that is, however you can get there, how often you can go, wherever that is. Meet as many people as you can. Talk to as many people as you can. And I don't know if it's true for the music scene here in Boston, but at least in Central Mass, where I'm from, people will eventually know who you are. People will get to know you. Will eventually see your face often enough where you'll start to build connections, and just try to get involved everywhere. Anywhere, everywhere, as often as you can, however that may be, and eventually connections will happen.
Absolutely. I think music is all about community, and there's so many great pockets of community around open mics and stuff, and different pockets around Massachusetts where great music is happening. So just going out and finding that in your area, and looking at different organizations like WASA, like you were talking about.
Yep.
eBase is another great one. Just get out there and find that stuff. Really good advice.
Yeah. Anywhere that's, however it is for you. I mean, if you're living in Boston, you want to go out to Worcester, sure, it's a good 45 minutes to an hour. But, anywhere you know that there is music, go hang out. And continue to hang out until you start to make connections, and then go hang out elsewhere and make more connections and make more connections and make more connections.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, it was amazing talking with you today. Thank you so much for sharing so much insights and stories. And I'm really excited to hear some songs. So let's jump to the performance.
That's great. Awesome. Thank you again for having me, Lars. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Okay. This first song is called The Fields of Green, and this comes from my time spent out living in western Massachusetts near Amherst and Northampton, where when you get there in that area, there's lots of rivers and streams and mountains and fields of green, and I felt that it was necessary to write a song about this particular place. So this is a song called The Fields of Green, and it goes like this. The fields of green where I have been is the most beautiful place I've seen. Let me tell you the tales of the fields of green. As you're walking down the road, there are stories of old with big open skies and flowers of gold in a place where no one is mean. In the fields of green, the fields of green, how flowers do grow that will bring you up to heaven. Count the tips, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. One more that makes 7. In the fields of green, the mountains go all the way up to the sky. I'd like to climb them, but I'm so incredibly high. I'm taking this joint to my face. I'm thinking about this all in my head as I'm lying here in my bed. Now it's a place you can go if you want, whether you're peer pressured from your friends or not. It's the greatest place in the land. All you need is a joint in your hand. In the fields of green, there are rivers and streams. It's the most perfect nature scene. As I'm sitting here, smoking that blue dream in the fields of green. In the fields of green, where I have been, is the most beautiful nature scene. Now you know the tales of the fields of green. This is a song called Lost at Sea, and as described earlier, it's about how I ended up getting COVID and found out that I lost a lot of friends, as well as I was being cheated on. So this is Lost at Sea. I am a captain of my own mind ship. Got my compass pointing west. So many adventures come aboard the ship, bringing friends on this quest. Come with me if you want to sail the deep sea. So many things to do. You don't need an education or degree, just be you. When you're lost at sea, will you be with me? When you're lost at sea, will you be with me? We've been traveling for some time, me and my wife Sherry. We've been traveling for such a long lifetime. We'll be gone till next January. Took a hit upon the port side of the ship. Everything went out to sea. Lost my friends, my companionship. No one was with me. When you're lost at sea, will you be with me? When you're lost at sea, will you be with me? Now I'm out here, drift on my own, in the stormy weather seas. Gotta make my way into the unknown. Somebody help me, please. When you're lost at sea, will you be with me? When you're lost at sea, will you be with me? All right. Well, I had mentioned that I was heavily inspired by Bob Dylan, and so I would say that this next song right here is a Bob Dylan-inspired kind of song, something that you would probably hear off of Freewheeling or No Direction Home or maybe Highway 61. Bringing It All Back Home. I don't know. One of those earlier Dylan albums, I suppose. Anyway, this is a song called Jack's Garden, and it goes like this. One morning I woke up, saw the sun come through my window, and I looked around the room and saw the disappearance of my shadow. Well, I got out of bed, threw away all my bad habits, and I thought to myself, well, I've gotta do something about it. So I stepped outside and saw that it was quite a mess. And just like my life, well, I thought that this could be a process. Well, I picked up stuff, picked it up one by one, and I went to the store to get all the things to get it done. Gonna make this garden of my own. with all the love and care be known. Gonna dig in my boots, gonna grow me some fruits, lay down the love of my roots. Gonna pick out a spot, put down all this dirt. Well, I guess it ain't as half as bad as what I used to do to make myself hurt. Gonna grow everything that grows underneath that sun, and one day I'll look back and enjoy all the hard work and the fun. I'm gonna stand up tall, wear a fancy bow tie, gonna cover all the bruises, 'cause you know, gotta let that past shit die. Gonna look real cute, join a dating app, and maybe I'll take a selfie and post it on my Snapchat. Gonna make this garden of my own, with all the love and care be known. Gonna dig in my boots, gonna grow me some fruits, lay down the love of my roots. Well, my name's Jack, this is the story of my garden, and you just heard a 10-minute long song about a movie that I just starred in. This song's not about not to lose hope or to lose faith. Gotta keep it moving till you feel that earthquake. It's all about love, growing up too. You gotta find your inner peace, man. It's all up to you. Look what I did, see how I've become. You start off numb, but then you grew a green thumb. Gonna make this garden of my own, with all the love and care be known. Gonna dig in my boots, gonna grow me some fruits, lay down the love of my roots. Gonna make this garden my own, with all the love and care be known. Gonna dig in my boots, gonna grow me some fruits, lay down the love of my roots, lay down the love of my roots, lay down the love of my roots. Thanks so much. My name is Jake Goldstein, but you can find me on all the social media platforms under Jukebox Jake. If you want to go to Instagram to keep the most up to date, just type in the Jukebox Jake.